Fox News alert, new White House reaction to Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush pushing to defund the police while keeping her own private security. The far-left lawmaker firing back at critics who called out the apparent hypocrisy.
I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety nets because we're trying to save lives.
A reminder, that was not parody, what you just saw. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany, and here today, my co-host Emily Campagno, Fox News anchor Julie Banderas, former State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus, and in the center virtual seat for the very first time, our friend and colleague Jimmy Faillia, host of Fox Across America on Fox News Radio. Welcome, Jimmy.
Great to be here. I just want to make clear to the audience at home, I know everyone on this panel so well, and I'm basically just working off the drinks you guys have bought me over the years. So hopefully we can be settled up by the end of the hour.
Cheers to that.
We'll keep buying it if you get through this hour. All right, guys. Campaign filing showing squad member Cori Bush spent nearly $70,000 on private security while demanding that police be defunded for everyday Americans. But Bush defending having armed guards for herself.
I have private security because my body is worth being on this planet right now. I have private security because the white supremacist, racist narrative that they drive into this country, the fact that they don't care that this black woman that has put her life on the line, they can't match my energy, first of all. This black woman who puts her life on the line, they don't care that I could be taken out of here. They actually probably are okay with that. But this is the thing. I won't let them get that off.
All that as progressives have pushed to defund the police over the past year. Some of the victims, meanwhile, of the recent crime surge have been children, the most innocent among us, including 7-year-old Jaslyn Adams, who was tragically shot and killed in Chicago in April. And just last month, 6-year-old Nia Courtney, who was fatally shot in Washington, D.C. Fox's Peter Ducey pressing the White House over the squad members' remarks.
Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush is saying that she favors spending tens of thousands on private security to keep her safe, and that people should, quote, suck it up, defunding the police has to happen. Didn't President Biden say a few weeks ago that anybody who accuses the party of being anti-police is lying?
Well, I think we shouldn't lose the forest through the trees here, which is that a member of Congress, an elected official, is concerned that her life is threatened, and that's disturbing. The president has been crystal clear that he opposes defunding the police. He has proposed increased funding for law enforcement and the COPS program, increased funding from his predecessor, who was, as you might note or be aware of, a Republican. There may be some in the Democratic Party, including Congresswoman Bush, who disagree with him. That's okay.
So, Jimmy, President Biden apparently has been crystal clear on not wanting to defund the police, except we have this soundbite from the campaign. Let's bring the receipt.
The last thing you need is an up-armored Humvee coming into a neighborhood. It's like the military invading. They don't know anybody. They become the enemy. They're supposed to be protecting these people. So my generic point is that...
Do we agree that we can redirect some of the funding?
Yes, absolutely.
That doesn't seem like a trailblazer, Jimmy, willing to buck his party and make sure they don't defund the police.
No, and let me just be on record as getting this out there. The police are doing the single most important job in society, and this story drives me crazy. Like, I would have been a cop, Kayleigh, if it weren't for this thing called the background check. But here's the thing. America doesn't have a crime problem, and I mean this. America has a stupid problem, and this has nothing to do with her race or her gender. Cori Bush is a stupid person. Why is she a stupid person? Because when you get out and demonize the police, as we've seen over the course of the last year, it leads to a rampant increase in violent crime. We have endangered the black community by waging this rhetorical war against the cops. In Cori Bush's own district, homicides are up 50% right now, which is insane. The only upside to the whole video is if you listen close, you can hear Republican strategists high-fiving in the background because they're like, we got a 3-day weekend. The ads are done.
They are done, Julie. And at the very end there, we heard the press secretary say it's okay if Cori Bush wants to say this. It's okay if she wants to promote defund the police. Well, why not? If you're so adamant that we don't want to defund the police, why wouldn't you just come out and say, I actively condemn what members in my party are saying?
I mean, Cori Bush has done such a disservice to the Democratic Party, and I think that Republicans are definitely celebrating right now. I agree with Jimmy, but I mean, for her to come out and first of all talk about how she needs $70,000 worth of security, or at least that's what she paid, but that she's willing to pay $200,000 or $10. I don't know where the heck. It was such a confusing. She needs to take a breath and just sit down and relax, because these kind of comments are, quite frankly, detrimental to the Democratic Party. And not only that, but she's talking about defunding the police. As an African-American woman, is she not looking in her own district? Is she not looking at the crime rates across the country? Is she not looking at the uptick of violence in minority and African-American communities? I mean, because those are the communities that need this police presence the most. And if you look at the fatalities and the murder rates in all these minority communities, and you want to take the cops away, so you want to kill your own people? I mean, it's just outrageous. And if I was one of her colleagues, I would distance myself as much as possible. I'm surprised that the White House actually didn't, because I think that was a really
Can I
big
add to
mistake.
that really quick? Just to add to that, Kaylee, if you remember, after the 2020 election, the Democrats had an in-house meeting where it got very vocal, and they said, please
Yes.
don't ever use the word defund the police again. So believe me, they hate her for this
Exactly right.
now.
Yeah, but they don't seem that upset
That is exactly
about it.
right.
It's true.
They don't seem upset about it. They're trying to have it both ways, Morgan. Morgan, they tried to flip the script, remember, and say Republicans wanted to fund the police. They got 3 Pinocchios for that assertion. But the NRCC is already out using this soundbite within, it seemed like hours. They're out. This will be the midterm message, is Cori Bush's words.
Yeah, I think the NRCC operatives should send champagne over to their DCCC
Yes.
friends every time she speaks, because it's just ad cutting for them. Listen, Kaylee, it's called security for me, but not for thee, right? That's essentially what she's telling to the people of her district. Part of me sort of likes the way that she approaches this, because Kaylee, you and I know what's going on behind the scenes. There's comms people throughout the administration who are putting out talking points, who are saying, don't say defund the police. Here's our position. Call yourself a Biden Democrat when you're running in 22, because remember, Republicans are only 5 seats away from taking the House. And the Congresswoman just went out there and said exactly how she feels, what she wanted to say. So part of me sort of admires her candor, and I think that she is revealing to the voters in her district around the country what the base of the Democratic Party really thinks. And the moderate elements of the party are certainly going to have to struggle with that, because we know going into 22 that crime is going to be a major, major central part of the Republican strategy, given how rampant, especially violent crime is around the country.
It is rampant, Emily, and we talk every day, it seems, about these tragic stories across the country. Associated Press out this week with a whole article about how children are now the victims of this crime wave. They said this: July in Chicago ended as it began, mourning the death of a child whose only mistake was venturing outside to play when someone armed with a gun came into the neighborhood hunting an enemy.
It's an absolute tragedy, Kaylee, even further compounded by Cori Bush's comments right now and the thought that she actually believes what she's saying. So she tells us to, quote, suck it up. Is that her messaging for the families of those children being slaughtered throughout the country in these cities where public safety and the police have been canceled? She says, we're trying to save lives. Do those lives include the children, to quote a community leader in Chicago, becoming extinct? As homicides spike into the double and triple digits in these cities throughout the country, so too, as you pointed out, is the percentage of these children, that's kids under the age of 15, they have now risen to an amount the most in our entire history. Janari Ricks, Jaslyn Adams, Savannah Quintero. Jaslyn Adams' grandmother, by the way, had a great quote. We're talking about campaign ads. This needs to be on billboards throughout the country. She says, they're shooting our babies at parties, friends' birthday parties, and amusement parks. And the trauma, by the way, it's not limited just to these children who have been murdered and their families, because there are other children in those communities who are watching their friends getting shot, who can't play outside anymore for fear of getting shot. There, too, a pastor says, it's hard to heal when you're in the middle of a war. Every day is a war zone. And we are supposed to somehow feel empathetic for Cori Bush, that her life apparently matters more than these children.
Yeah, we will pray for each of those children's families. It's such a tragedy. And the new thought leader of the Democrat Party, Cori Bush, calling to defund the police, only going to make it worse. Such a tragedy.